Hello, and welcome to the Full Send Half Mast Podcast, episode 40, your number one source on the internet for motorsports talk show anything to do with the world of motorsports and auto racing. And we are live here, episode number 40. Today is Tuesday, October 24th. We have a lot to talk about tonight. We got a little bit of news, a little bit more of this silly season stuff that we keep talking about all the time. We got the trucks, Xfinity, and Cup this weekend, all at Homestead, Miami. The final race of the round of 8 for the trucks, and the second race of the round of 8 for the Xfinity in the Cup Series. Heading into Martinsville, we'll preview those races later as well as the Formula One United States Grand Prix there at COTA. We'll talk about that in the sprint race as well. Our infamous driver and bonehead of moves of the week segments, as well as we'll go over the Cup points. We'll go over the Formula One points, a little bit of drama there towards the end of the race, kind of change that around, talk about that. And then we'll also preview the Formula One race this weekend, the Mexico City Grand Prix. And then I'll give you my NASCAR fantasy, our radioactive week, and a few other things I would like to talk about as well here tonight with you guys, fine people here on YouTube. But first off, we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor. W Energy Blends, introducing NeuroFactor, an all-natural coffee cherry extract to help fuel you with energy, laser focus, and fast reflexes. Provides concentration with important aminos and vitamins without the crash that ordinary canned energy drinks just cannot provide. Try amazing flavors such as Dragonade, Dub Sludge, Galaxy Grenade, and my personal favorite, Beach and Peach. Buy the starter pack today, including 2 flavors in a shake cup for an extremely low price. Follow the link in the description below and use promo code DIGABOYS for 10% off your order. Thanks to W for their continued support of the Dega Boys broadcasting. Alrighty, let's get right into the news here. This week announced more silly season stuff. Jamie Chadwick, been racing in the Indy NXT for Andretti Global. She is re-signed to return in Indy NXT in 2024. I don't have a lot of expectations, but this is great news. I think that she has a lot that she learned in that first year, and I believe that her results will be a little bit different. And you got to remember, this year was one of the most challenging Indy NXT, really tight filled. Anybody from 1st to 10th could have won on any given week. So we'll see with a few of the heavy hitters, you would say, kind of moving on. Maybe some new faces resurface to the front of the field here in the Indy NXT. Maybe she improves on her results and continues to grow as a race car driver here in the Indy NXT. Also, Christian Eckes has been confirmed to re-sign with McAnally Hilligman Racing in 2024 in the Truck Series, returning to the 19 seat. We've talked about this in the past with the open seats there. What were they going to do? How are they going to reshuffle? And it looks like Christian Eckes will return to the Truck Series with McAnally in 2024. So super excited for him there. This season didn't quite turn out the way he wanted. Didn't make the Final Four, Championship 4. Looked like a championship favorite there early in the season. Just results kind of faded off. So we'll see if now coming back, build some momentum towards next year, and maybe they can be a contender next year for the championship. And then also, I do want to talk about the World of Outlaws race there at Devil Bowl Speedway there in Mesquite, Texas. The final race at that speedway, David Gravel ended up taking the victory in a photo finish, 15 thousandths of a second over James McFadden there. What a crazy finish that was. Unbelievable. But pretty sad moment, the final race there at Devil's Bowl Speedway, but David Gravel does get it, and it kind of sends it off in like one of these tremendous, finishes. One of the best finishes of the season for sure. Definitely a landmark moment of the season, a memorable moment. So congratulations to him, and farewell to Devil Bowl Speedway. What a great showing that they did in their final hoorah. Alrighty, I think that's all for news that I have right now. So we're going to jump straight into the race reviews for this weekend. On Saturday, we had the Truck Series, the Baptist Health 200 at Homestead. I picked Nick Sanchez to win this race in my predictions. I felt like after what happened at Talladega with Matt Crafton, I felt like he had a chip on his shoulder. Great things were going to happen this weekend for him. Well, it started off good. He wins the pole for this race. Although we saw Corey Haim take the first 2 stages, stage 1, stage 2. Our first major incident of this race, though, happened on lap with 66 laps to go when Haley Deegan crashed Colby Howard. And this wasn't like they're racing for a top 10. No. This was for like 29th. Just absolutely uncalled for. I mean, she loses talent, washes up the track. That's how the wreck happened. I mean, she came off a 4, went up the track, thought she's clear, definitely wasn't clear, not by a mile. Ends up running somebody into the wall, gets tagged, come back down, and just tags Colby Howard, sends him around. I think she ended up finishing like 29th. Just a pitiful race. What an absolute embarrassment here. And we'll talk about that more here in a minute with the results here and the playoffs. But that's going to nominate her for Bonehead Move of the Week. I mean, just absolute shenanigans. Always complains and whines about everybody else in the truck series racing her dirty, and then she goes and does this for 29th. I don't get it. I don't get it. So Bonehead Move of the Week nominee there for Haley Diggin wrecking Colby Howard. And then also we had another caution with 56 to go with Maggio spinning. That kind of changed the complexion of this race. We saw some pit strategies in play. At the end of this race, though, we saw Carson Hocevar make a late race pass there, past Ben Rhodes, to end up taking the lead, and then goes on to win the race, locking himself into Phoenix for the championship 4. I believe he's going to win the championship. He's my favorite going into Phoenix. We'll talk about that more next week's podcast, Halloween special here at the Dega Boys Broadcasting. And then to also round out who also made the championship 4 here was Corey Heim, because he had that win earlier this year, or earlier in this race or the round, locked himself in already. And then Grant Enfinger made it on points, had a good solid top 5 finish. That's what he needed. And then Ben Rhodes, even with that strategy and losing the lead there late, he had just enough of a buffer to make the championship 4. And what I want to talk about with this Ben Rhodes deal is he gets repaired with the crew chief Rich Lucius, who he won the Truck Series Championship with a couple of years ago. I believe it was 2020. Gets repaired up with him, and then they end up pulling this miraculous championship-esque run, right, to make the championship 4 here in the playoffs when they were such a hole, going in. Rich Lucius was actually the crew chief for Haley Diggin this year. So good for Rich Lucius to get away from finishing 29th every week and actually getting to back into his winning ways and going to the championship 4 again here with Ben Rhodes. I think that's the story of the season right there. I mean, it's just unreal. He can't. It looks like he has no idea what he's doing. Looks like his crew chiefing career is over. Like his good days were past him, past his prime. Ends up getting a new position, pretty much back to where he was a few years ago, and now he's in the championship 4. Just storybook ending for this guy, man. Oh, man. And if he ends up claiming the second championship, I mean, in a season where it looked like it was inevitably impossible to ever be at Phoenix with anything relative to race for, and here he is having a chance to race for a championship at Phoenix. That's kind of cool. So, I don't know. Is it a driver or I don't know. I mean, it can't be, right? It can't be a driver thing. I mean, if it was a driver thing, then the driver he was just with wouldn't have all the Ford backing in the world to go and race for an Xfinity team next year, while the one that he's with now, who's in the championship 4, is still stuck in the truck. I could get into that, but I'm not going to. I just thought it was cool to shout out Rich Lucius for sticking true to it, man, getting it done, and going to championship 4 here with Ben Rhodes, and for Ben Rhodes too. I mean, that's a pretty big moment. So we'll talk about the Truck Series Championship 4 more next week when we preview the races for Phoenix. That'll be pretty interesting there. But the note, Heim, Hocevar, Enfinger, and Ben Rhodes are all locked into the Championship 4, and it should be a good one. I'm excited to talk about that next week. All right, the Xfinity Series, the Contender Boats 300 on Saturday, right after the truck race. We saw Cole Custer qualify in pole. He went on to win stage 1. Let's see. Just before the end of stage 1, caution on lap 68 with Dawson Cram wrecked. This allowed all the leaders to pick, kind of change the strategy. Derek Krause, who was my dark horse pick, ends up winning stage 2. Really didn't mean much, though, because he was going to have to pit anyway at the end of stage 2 anyway. But to note, he did win stage 2. And then we had a caution on lap 97 between Chandler Smith and Brett Moffitt. This really kind of just derailed the downfall here of Chandler Smith's season. He just looked like the best driver, the championship contender there at the beginning. I mean, you would have put him up there with Nemechek and Austin Hill early in the season. Chandler Smith got that win at Richmond. You just had him pegged as a championship 4 contender. And then this has this wreck here with Brett Moffitt here on lap 97. Really just, he's in a deep hole. We'll look at the points here in a minute when I preview this weekend at Martinsville and who's going to make the championship 4 here in the Xfinity Series. I got some interesting stuff to say about that. But for the rest of this race goes, caution with 29 to go. Josh Berry gets crashed by his boss, Dale Jr. I don't know what to say. I don't think, me and Tom are pretty much agree on this. I don't think Josh Berry's it. I don't think he's going to be he's not a Cup race car driver. He's not. I hate to tell you guys. He's not going to be able to go light the world on fire in the Cup Series, especially with Stewart-Haas. It's not going to happen. He's a great Xfinity driver. Sure, I'll give you that. He's going to be, he ran the Xfinity Series for the next 10 years. He'd probably win multiple races a year and be a championship contender. Probably never win it, though. But Cup ready? No. But in this incident, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault. He was up on the outside of turn 2 there after the restart, and Dale Jr. just didn't see him out there, I guess. Didn't hear it from his spotter. I don't know what was going on there. Just an absolute brain lapse there by Dale Jr. And he'll probably even admit that it just was. It was a bad look. But yeah, he ends up taking out Josh Berry. So that's going to nominate Dale Jr. here as a bonehead move of the week, which is kind of funny when I get to the driver of the week. I almost put him in as a driver of the week because his rebound from terrible qualifying all the way up to a P5. I was going to put him in there, but I was like, there's no way. If someone's going to make driver of the week a bonehead move of the week, it's not going to be Dale Jr. I hate to say it. So I had to pick him somewhere, and there was just a good amount of people to pick for driver of the week. So I moved him out and put in other drivers, and I put him solely in the bonehead move of the week column here. And then, so it's the end of this race. We saw Sam Mayer in the lead, kind of controlling it, and Riley Herbst. Let's give it up for Riley Herbst. He makes a late race charge. I believe if he had one more lap, I think he would have passed Sam Mayer. I think he was better there at the end. Just wasn't close enough there to make a charge on the final lap. Sam Mayer ends up holding on, but he ends up coming on P2. I mean, after just a colossal failure to miss the playoffs, just everything that could go wrong went wrong. It fell apart right off the rip there. About 4 races to go in that tight battle with Kligerman. Ends up just missing the playoffs and just devastating, just horrific ways. I mean, catastrophic failure there to not make the playoffs. And I didn't think there was anything left for him to race for this year. I didn't think he was going to get re-signed by Stewart-Haas. I thought this was kind of the end of the Riley Herbst experiment. Then he goes out last week, gets announced that he's returning to Stewart-Haas. We talked about it here on the podcast. And then ends up winning at Vegas in his home track. And then this week comes back and backs it up with a P2 finish. If he had one more lap, he probably would have been a back-to-back winner in the Xfinity Series. What a turnaround here for Riley Herbst. What a turnaround for Riley Herbst. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I didn't see it coming. Not one bit. I thought Sheldon Creed was going to win 5 races before Riley Herbst ever won 1, and I am dead wrong. I am dead wrong, man. I'll have to admit it. I'll eat crow when I have to eat crow, but yeah, Riley Herbst, man, he's definitely turned it around here. But with this win for Sam Mayer, though, locks him into the Championship 4. He is the only driver currently locked into the Championship 4. So going into Martinsville, he's got nothing to worry about. He's locked in to Phoenix, and he's going to go race for a championship. So I'll talk about more about the points here when I go into the race previews for this weekend at Martinsville. All right, and then on Saturday, we also had the Formula One United States sprint race. We saw Verstappen qualifying pole in the shootout. The only really big incidents here was lap 17 when Lance Stroll ends up retiring from the race. It's just a terrible year for Lance Stroll. Aston Martin's just fallen off a cliff as the season's progressed. I mean, they kind of hit their peak there around Monaco and just fallen off a cliff since then. I mean, it's just been bad. I mean, I think you could point at Monaco as kind of being the shift of the entire Formula One season, right? At that point, we were looking at Aston Martin contending to be maybe second in the constructors, and Alonso being a dark horse shot for a championship. Then we're looking at Perez. I mean, him and Verstappen were just trading wins at that point. It just looked like it was going to be one of these amazing championship battles between the two of them. And then he's disappeared. And then I think that was the first race that we saw like the surgence of Alpine, right? I mean, we saw Ocon qualify or end up getting a podium there, and they've been top 10 in the points just about every week since then. That was kind of the turnaround right there for Ferrari. Ferrari kind of showed their nose, and they've kind of been contenders ever since. You could say the same there about Mercedes. That's when Mercedes kind of hit their stride. So I feel like that if you can go back and look at how this season kind of turned and changed and flopped on its head, it was definitely the Monaco Grand Prix. But Verstappen ends up winning this race. Hamilton and Leclerc end up going P2, P3. It's kind of the trend of this weekend. I'll explain more here in a minute. It gets juicy here in the Sunday Formula One Grand Prix, which is what we'll talk about next. The United States Grand Prix on Sunday, we saw Charles Leclerc. He ended up qualifying on pole there on the pole qualifying day. And then we saw Verstappen end up qualifying P6, which was really surprising to me. He qualifies pole for the shootout, but he qualifies 6th for the Grand Prix. It was very interesting to me. So this kind of the story is how well could Ferrari and McLaren do? And could they get enough of a gap where Verstappen couldn't come into play here at the race? That's kind of what we saw. So Norris ends up taking the lead there, lap 1, gets past Charles Leclerc. And then it looks like now it's McLaren's opportunity to get a victory here. We saw Esteban Ocon retire on lap 7. He has just had a rough last few weeks of this season. I mean, every last few races just can't finish a race. I mean, wrecks out in a sprint race, retires from mechanical issues at Singapore, and then this retirement. It's just been a downhill for Ocon. I'm a huge Ocon fan. I'm a huge Alpine fan. I think that they are both great drivers, lots of talent, and it's just stuff happens. You're just like, what the heck, man? I don't know. Maybe I'm just a sucker for punishment when it comes to racing, because the guys I pull for or the guys I think have a lot of talent just seem to just not have a good year this year. I mean, I like Hendrick drivers. I've always been a Hendrick homer. I mean, you could tell Jeff Gordon, Alex Bowman stuff in the background. I've been pulling for Bowman the last few years. I've just kind of been a pretty big Bowman fan, and this year's been awful. It's just been bad. I've been an Alpine fan, and where have they been? it's just been terrible season for them so far. I mean, they have good races and then bad races. It's such a mirrored image of what they've been doing, and then yeah, it's just been tough. And then obviously Sheldon Creed next phase here. I really like Sheldon Creed, and I've jumped off that bandwagon. I've completely given up on Sheldon Creed, and I don't know what to think about that whole situation, but it's just been tough to watch him this year. I like Parker Kligerman, and thankfully he made the playoffs. I've been pulling for him all year and made the playoffs, but then got eliminated by a few points there with certain things that just didn't go right for him towards the end of the season there, especially at Bristol race when he had the mechanical issues. But that's just kind of the trend of my season here. It's been tough. It's been tough to pull for people this year. If I pull for you, man, it's not your year. I hate to tell you. All right, and then Piastri ends up retiring on lap 10, having some mechanical issues as well there. And then Verstappen ends up getting to the lead here at the halfway point, lap 28. Drove all the way through the field from 6th, ends up getting by Norris here, and it kind of looked like it was his race to win. And then they both, Norris and Verstappen, look like they're going to go on a one-stop strategy. They end up pitting here to go on a two-stopper, laps 35 and 36 respectively. And then it looked like Hamilton was going to stick to the one-stopper, and he's out there. And then he ends up deciding to bail on it and pits on lap 38 or 39, excuse me. And so Verstappen ends up getting back to the lead later in this race because Leclerc ended up staying out on a one-stopper. He ended up falling through the field like a rock there at the end. It was just, what is Ferrari doing? I mean, they should have bailed with Hamilton. They could easily got a good finish out of this race, right? Didn't happen for him. Alonso, he ends up retiring on lap 51. And again, just another terrible race here for him. And then Verstappen goes on to win his half-century Formula One victory, his 50th one in his Formula One career. And he's got so many more to win. I mean, you look at Lewis Hamilton, he's the all-time Grand Prix winner with 103 victories. Verstappen's at 50. He's almost half of it, and he's got another 10 years, I would say, of just quality driving ahead of him. So, I mean, I don't see anybody but Verstappen winning for the rest of the season anyway. So, I mean, we got 4 more races. That's 4 more wins. He'll be at 54 by the end of the season. And then they keep adding more races to the Grand Prix schedule every year. I mean, I think we had 24 to scheduled, and then we had the Chinese Grand Prix didn't go through, and then we had Imola didn't go through because of flooding. So that we're going to end up running 22 this year, and he's going to win all but 3 of them. I mean, that's 19 wins in a season. I mean, if we run 24 next year and say he wins 20 of them, that'll put him up to like 74. I mean, He might beat Hamilton in the next 4 years in Grand Prix wins. I mean, this is insane what this guy's doing. And then Hamilton finishes P2, Norris finishes P3. And before I talk about the fast lap, because I think it's a cool story here with Tsunoda, Hamilton and Leclerc actually end up getting DQ'd from this race. Big Daddy NASCAR stuff here out of the FIA. I mean, unbelievable. That changed the complexion of the points too, and I'll talk about that here more in a second. But they both get DQ'd, so that increases Lando Norris up to P2 and Sainz up to P3. So, I mean, not only did Ferrari mess up the strategy here for Leclerc, they end up getting disqualified from the race. So it's like he didn't even show up. I mean, that's just sad. And then Hamilton and Mercedes, I mean, what a clown show it is anyway with Mercedes, but the fact that then they're also in the same problems as Ferrari, I don't know, man. I don't know what to think about all of this situation. It's just weird. It's just weird to me. Very weird to me. But yeah, so I guess at the end of the day, Hamilton did not finish P2, and then I think Leclerc was P6 anyway. So with his or P5, I'm not exactly sure. Can't remember, but it doesn't matter. I mean, they got disqualified, so. Yep, so that would move Norris up to P2, Sainz up to P3 in the running order. And then Tsunoda, at the time, it was a great strategy call, right? They're running P10. They have enough of a gap there with Albon penalty, to still be able to pit there on the last lap and still be able to finish P10 while trying to get the fastest lap of the GP to kind of still 2 points right there, right? Get 10th, you get a point, and you get a fast lap, you get a point. So they had an opportunity to still 2 points. They didn't really communicate this with Tsunoda very well, because when they asked him to pit, he was kind of in shock. Like, I'm in a points position. Why are we pitting? Ends up pitting him, ends up finishing P10, ends up getting that point, and stealing the fast lap point. And then also with the disqualifications in front of him, moves him up to P8. So he ends up getting more points anyway. So it's just a cool story there for Tsunoda and AlphaTauri. I mean, that was pretty cool for them to do that, especially for Tsunoda. And especially the bad luck that he's had the last few GPs. I remember Monza didn't even get a start. Wrecked out of Singapore. Just really tough few weeks for him too, and he ends up stealing a couple points there in this GP. It's pretty impressive. But then when it comes to the points here for the Formula One, we're not counting drivers and constructors anymore, because we know Verstappen is your driver's champion for this season, and we already know that Red Bull's got the constructors locked up. But it's a battle for P2 and P3, right? So Perez is still P2, he's at 240, and Hamilton's at 201. That's a 39-point gap. Before the penalty, though, this was looking at like a 30-point gap, I believe it was. Or it's 27-point gap, if I remember right, when I did the points initially. So that could have been interesting. This is 39 points. It's still 4 races to go. It's still doable for Hamilton, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe Perez will clutch it out and finish P2 in the points. We'll see. But it's 39-point gap there between those two. And then in constructors, Mercedes is currently 22 points ahead of Ferrari, which is interesting here because a Mercedes and a Ferrari both got DQ'd, but with Sainz still moving up and then Russell moving up, and with the dequalifications, I think this was at like a 27-point gap for Mercedes. Now it's down to 22. So with the disqualifications, that kind of changed it a little bit. So made it shorter between Mercedes and Ferrari. So still up for grabs there in the constructors. That's literally one race, really. I mean, say one of the Mercedes wrecks out, both Ferraris get third, fourth, fifth, whatever, respectively, and then maybe the other Mercedes gets like third. Who knows? Who knows? It could be interesting here. 4 races to go. Yeah. So that was Formula One weekend in a nutshell. This weekend they'll be in Mexico, and I'll preview that here in a minute. Also on Sunday was the Cup Series race, the Forever 400, presented by Mobil 1. This was kind of a tribute race to Kevin Harvick. It's kind of cool. Nice little throwback paint scheme by their Budweiser, whatever. But this was the second race of the round of 8. We already know Larson's locked into the next round. Is kind of the determining factor to see who could do good in points. Could we see somebody below the cut line win? Good storylines coming in. Could Truex turn it around? And he did. I mean, he qualified on pole. It looked like he had a contending car to win this race. Stage 1 kind of goes off without a hitch. Larson's getting to the lead here through stage 1. He's one of the faster cars. We saw a caution on lap 77. Ricky Spenhouse ends up getting into the wall, breaks a toe length, tires go down. I mean, just a product of this crappy car, right? I mean, hits the wall, not really that hard, and his race is ruined just right there because it gets in the wall a little too hard. And it wasn't even. I don't know. It's just these cars are just garbage. I mean, they put the composite bodies on them so they can actually hit the wall and be fine, and then you make these toe links that shatter with the look. You look at them, they're broken. Just crazy to me. But Larson ends up winning stage 1. Stage 2 went caution free. Blaney ends up cycling to the lead. He was pretty much the fastest car in this race. I think it was between Larson and Blaney for sure. We'll talk about that more in a second. But Blaney was kind of the guy everybody's looking at in practice. Larson was the guy that everybody kind of was looking at with the long run pace in the race. But Blaney ends up getting the lead there and ends up winning stage 2. And then the final stage, we got I don't know, like 50 something laps to go, lap 213 here. Final pit stop of the day, really of the race, kind of hitting your last window there. Blaney darts into pit road. Larson sees it. He follows him in. He overcooks it, shoots right into the back of Blaney a little bit and tries to turn right so he doesn't run into him completely. Gets into the barrels and turn big old red flag. I mean, this is going to nominate Larson as Bonehead Move of the Week because he ran into the barrels and kind of took himself out of the race. And also, I don't think it was necessary for him to charge that pit road entrance the way he did. He's got the best pit crew in NASCAR. I don't care what you say. I mean, the 5 team and the 24 team and the 9 team, those 3 pit crews have been the best pit crews the last 3 years in NASCAR. I mean, you get a little bit of glimpses of Chastain. Maybe a Gibbs crew here or there will be good. Like maybe every once in a while, like this year we saw with the 54 team who's now pitting Bell. They've been pretty good. Buscher's team's been pretty good the last few years. Pretty much both Trackhouse cars. But really, if you think about it, if you do the averages, it's been basically not just the 24, the 9, and the 5, but mostly just the 9 and the 5. Best pit crews in NASCAR, for sure. So, I mean, yes, you charged it in there a little bit, but I think you charged it too deep. I think you should have just kind of eased up a little bit more. I mean, even if he's entering pit road 3-4 car lengths behind Blaney, I still think he might be able to leap him on pit road anyway. I mean, his pit crew's been insane. The Penske pit crews have not been that good this year. I just think it was a little overreach there. I feel like he was trying too hard to get ahead of Blaney on a pit road sequence when he didn't really need to. So, takes himself out of the race. I know it doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. It's just a win, right? He's already locked into Phoenix. He's the championship favorite. I still believe that even after the result of this race. But you can't fault the guy for wanting to win a race, but you can fault him for making a mistake. And that's what he did. So, did it affect Blaney's car? I don't know. He did hit him in the right rear. These cars are super aero sensitive anymore, especially when you're trying to run the wall. You get a little bit of that buffer there with the right rear quarter panel. It's going to add some drag to the car through the center of the turn. I mean, I don't know. Blaney didn't seem to think it affected him, but who knows? But then we had a caution with 46 laps to go. This is because during this pit sequence, we already saw Keselowski pit. He was one of the better cars all day. It was like him, Byron, Larson, Hamlin, and Blaney, probably the 5 best cars all day. He ends up getting buried in traffic there because of that incident there on pit road with Larson. He'd already pitted, trapped him a lap down, so he had to take the waiver out, got sucked back in traffic, and he ends up getting into the shenanigans there with, I think it was Nemechek, and then Keselowski, Nemechek, and Chastain all make contact, sends them down into Yaley, a big crash there with 46 to go. And then we get another pit stop there, and then trying to change the race a little bit. Bell ends up cycling to the lead with a great restart. Looked like he's going to win this race. And then we had a caution. 32 to go. Hamlin ends up racing with Blaney, making door contact. Hamlin being an absolute hack. I think Blaney called him a hack. I've said this many times before. Hamlin is an absolute hack. He lets things build up, get into his head so much, and he's racing Blaney. Blaney's got a better car, and he can't take it. Can't race people side by side. So he's running Blaney up the track, driving it too deep into the corner, sliding up the track, just hampering Blaney's opportunities to win this race. And Bell kind of took advantage of this. Ends up taking the lead on both of them, racing real hard there. And then everybody's saying, oh, I don't know why the heck Hamlin's suspension broke. I truly think it had something to do with racing with Blaney. I think with all the contact they were making and all the aggressive sliders he was trying to pull, I think he broke something just being an idiot. I do. And I think that this is the ugly head that has cost Hamlin from ever winning a championship. It's reared itself again. This is why he doesn't win championship. He doesn't let things go. racing Blaney late in this race. He's looking good on points. There's nothing to be concerned about in points wise for Hamlin at all here. Doesn't need to win this race, just needs to finish in the top 5. He's got stage points. He's been running good. Could clearly make his way into the final round of the playoffs and racing Blaney like an idiot. And I think it cost him. Ends up going to the wall. Also during this caution though, Truex, he ends up losing a motor. I mean, my championship pick ain't looking good. I'll talk about it more here in a minute, but it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. I don't know what happened to this 19 team. I don't know. I don't know what to say, but end up getting another pit stop. Bell loses some more spots, and then reminiscent of the previous restart, Bell ends up getting by. I believe it was Byron and Blaney racing there. Ends up getting by him, checks off from the field, ends up winning the race, locks himself in the championship floor. I have to make a huge apology to Christopher Bell here. I had him out in the first round. I didn't think he was going to be able to do anything good this year in the playoffs. I feel like he used all of his good fortune, his rabbit's foot, his 4-leaf clover, golden horseshoe, whatever you want to say, up last year with all of those Game 7 walk-off wins. I didn't think he was going to be able to do anything spectacular in the playoffs this year. I mean, he has been consistent, and then he wasn't consistent, and he was back to consistent. It's like you didn't know what to think with Christopher Bell. Doesn't have the wins to show for it. Doesn't have the stage points or the playoff points to really buffer for himself. But he ran so good last week at Vegas. I mean, same as the Xfinity race with Mayer and Riley Herbst there. I mean, if Herbst had another lap, he probably would win the race. I think the same thing with Bell. I think if Bell had one more lap there at Vegas, he would have beat Larson. And I thought that was his last chance. I thought that was his last hurrah to make the championship 4. I thought it was over. I thought it was done. I think that was his best chance to win. In this race, it proved it to me. Like he was garbage all day long. I mean, I don't know how you want me to say. He was trash. He almost went a lap down at one point. He's complaining on the radio. The car ain't driving good. Something isn't right. Just absolutely can't get out of his own way. I don't know what they did at the end of that race. Him and Adam Stevens, they put something together there. They got that car figured out, and they went on to clutch it at the end of this race and win the race. Although with him winning this race, locking him in championship 4, I still think Larson is a championship favorite. I think it's undeniable at this point. Can Bell go out and win at Phoenix and win the championship? Sure. I think any one of the 4 guys that make Phoenix can win the championship. But I still think Larson's the guy to beat. He's got the best pit crew. I think he's the hungriest driver. He's on an absolute tear this year in anything he's driven. I mean, just go look at anything Larson's done this year. It's just been insane. He's already won the Southern 500, the Crown Jewel, the one that eluded him, really. I think that was the biggest win of his career, and in my opinion, and we witnessed it this year, was his Southern 500 win. Goes out, wins Vegas. I just think that he's the guy to beat. I just don't see anybody else really being able to prove anything wrong there. And then when points are concerned here, we have Reddick minus 10 post Homestead. Truex and Hamlin are both 6th and 7th. Both minus 17, and then Buescher minus 43. The way I look at it is I believe Byron's going to make it on points. I just don't think that he is going to have a bad race at Martinsville, and it's all he can't afford to do. As long as he gets stage points, stage 1 and 2, and then just maintains about top 10, I think he'll be fine on points, really. I don't think anybody could do enough to take him out on points. One person's going to make it in on points at a minimum, so I think it will be Byron. When it comes to Martinsville, Reddick, he just hasn't shown anything on short tracks. Really, his entire Cup career, I just don't see him being able to perform at Martinsville. I think he's done. Truex, Hamlin, can either of them win? Sure. Could both of them make it into the final round? I don't think so. I don't think we see both of them advancing. It's one or the other, or none of the above, in my opinion. And then Buescher, I'll talk about that more here in a minute, but he's in a must-win situation. It's just nothing you can say about it. Alrighty. So, driver of the week segment here. This week, I'm going to nominate Bailey Curry, finishing P6 in the trucks. I picked him as my dark horse. I told you guys, watch out for him to be a sneaky top 10, maybe a top 5 contender in the truck series. There he is, P6. It's like I watch or something, or I pay attention. I don't know. And then also, I'm going to nominate Logan Sargent, P10 in the Formula One Grand Prix at the United States Grand Prix. We've talked about Logan Sargent, how garbage of a driver this guy is. He finished 12th in the race, but with the DQs with Hamilton and Leclerc, it moves him up to P10. He scored a point. Say what you will. We've said it. Said it many times throughout the season. He's been an absolute failure, an absolute not. He's not an F1 driver, not even close. Never will be F1 ready, in my opinion. He got a point. He got a point. He's scored a point in his F1 career. He can go to his grave saying that he did score a point in F1. It might have been on technicality, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, results are results, stats are stats. You're going to look it up in the racing reference, and it's going to say he did get a P10 in the United States Grand Prix in 2023 and did score a point in his F1 career. So I'm going to nominate him. I think he deserves it. He's had a rough year. And then I'm also going to nominate AJ Allmendinger P5 in the Cup Series race. It kind of came out of nowhere there at the end. That was surprising. I don't know. I didn't expect that from Allmendinger, especially at a place like Homestead. I didn't expect that one bit, so that's good for him. P5. And the Bonehead Move of the Week, I've talked about this. Haley Deegan dumping Colby Howard. I mean, for 29th, you're nominated. Dell Jr. wrecking his teammate Josh Berry. Just a bad look. Just a really bad look. That's going to nominate you, Dell Jr. I mean, yeah. I mean, I bet you would even admit that it was a pretty bad move. And then Kyle Larson, pit entry, barrel smash. I mean, you can't see it. You can't do it. I mean, I understand that you have nothing at risk there, but I think you still would have won the race, even if you would have just entered pit road a little slower and been more conservative. I think you still would have passed him on pit road. You still would have won the race, and it just didn't play out that way for you. So Bonehead Move of the Week there for him. I believe that's all I got to say to review this week's races there. Yeah. So we'll just go straight into previewing the races this weekend, right? So this weekend we got the Formula One at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, Mexico City, and the Xfinity Cup at Martinsville. For the final race of the round of 8, we're going to seal in the last 2 NASCAR Series Championship 4s this weekend. Notable entries in the Xfinity Series, we got Lane Riggs in the number 11 Colleague All-Star car. It's now the 11, not the 10, because Daniel Hemrick moved over to the 10 to run for the owners, whatever. We talked about that. And then Myatt Snyder is back with JGR in the number 19. Raja Karuth and Jeffrey Earnhardt are both in the Alpha Prime cars, respectively. Akinora Ogata back with the Emerling Gase in the number 53, back in an Xfinity Series race. I thought that was interesting. And then we got Timmy Hill in the number 66 MBM car. He's back in with MBM. And then Josh Bilicki, we've seen him make a lot of Cup Series starts. He's in the number 91 DGM. I think he's a pretty underrated race car driver. I think that's a pretty notable entry to me. And then in the Cup Series, Hocevar is back behind the wheel of the number 42 Legacy Motor Club car. Trucks are off this weekend. He's already locked into the Championship 4. So, yeah, see what he can do at Short Track at Martinsville. It'll be interesting. And then Ryan Newman, he's back with Rick Rowe Racing in the number 51 this weekend. All right, it's time to make my predictions for this weekend. The Xfinity Series, Dead on Tools 250. I think we're going to see a pretty dramatic race. Not going to lie. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting there to be a lot of drama. Xfinity Series always puts on a good show. And I think that this weekend there's a lot of drivers really in trouble. I'll show you. I'll talk about the points real quick and I'll explain why I think it's going to be so dramatic. Sam Mayer's locked in already. Nemechek's 44 points up. I think all he's got to do is score a few stage points. I think he'll be advanced and clinched regardless. So really it's 2 spots, in my opinion, that are open. It's Cole Custer and Austin Hill are both 3rd and 4th. They're plus 3 to the cut line to Allgaier, who's -3 in 5th. And then Sammy Smith's -49, Chandler's -54, and Creed's -65. So that's 3 guys in must wins. 2 guys locked in, 1 on points, 1 with a win. And then we got 3rd, 4th, and 5th all within 3 points. It's going to be dramatic, right? Because you got 3 guys in must-win situations, 2 guys already locked in. It's anybody's race to win. I mean, I feel like we're going to see a lot of wild card moves here. I mean, pit strategy is going to be wild. Qualifying is going to be really important. We're going to see a lot of contact, a lot of shuffling through the field. I don't think that if you're in a must-win situation, you're not racing for stage points. If you're Cole Custer and Austin Hill and Justin Allgaier here, you're definitely racing for stage points because if we do get a new winner, one of those 3 are going to point their way in. It's going to happen because Nemechek's locked in on points, basically. Mayer's locked in. So between these 3, if we do get a new winner, one of those 3 is going to make it. But if we don't get a new winner, then 2 of those 3 are going to make it. And they're all separated by 3 points. So It's going to be pretty dramatic. These stages are going to be interesting. The guys racing for the win on the cut line are going to be interesting. But when it comes to who I think is going to win this race, I think it's going to be Justin Allgaier. I think he's going to win this race and lock himself into the final round. I just have a feeling Allgaier's found ways to lose races this year. I mean, he is one of the best 4 drivers this season in the Xfinity Series. I think that he's not only going to make it in on points, he's going to win this race. I think he's going to win it late in this race. I think they're going to get good stage points, stage 1 and 2, and then they're going to be able to just open up the playbook wide open and maybe pull some strategy out, or even be the best car. Who knows? He might even have the best car. He might even just win this race. So just off of pure speed. So I'm going to take him to win the race. And then if I'm looking at a dark horse, I was going to take someone that's not in the playoffs, but I feel like really, if you look at it, you have 3 guys in must-win situations down here at the bottom. I think you got to take one of those as your dark horse. They're still in contention for the championship. And can one of them win? I think it's Chandler Smith as my dark horse here. I'm saying this because he won at Richmond. He's proven he's good at short tracks. Yeah, he has nothing to lose. I don't think he's going to race for stage points. I don't think he's going to do anything of the sort. I think whatever the leaders do, if he's not running it, he's going to do the exact opposite. If they all come down to pit, he's going to stay out. If they all stay out, he's going to come down and pit. He's going to do everything the complete opposite of what the leaders do in this race. And if it comes down to late race shenanigans, we see some drama. Maybe he stays out and defends. Maybe pull a Chase Briscoe, but actually be successful from last year in the Cup race. I'm taking Chandler Smith as my dark horse here. I think that this is the guy that, if he can just put things together and they run this absolute ridiculous strategy, I think win this race in advance. That's my prediction. All right, and then when it comes to the Formula One race on Sunday, the Mexico City Grand Prix, my favorite to win this weekend is going to be Max Verstappen. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, I think he sweeps the rest of the races this season. So I think he'll win here in Mexico. And then my dark horse, I think it's time for Valtteri Bottas to get some points in Formula One. So I'm going to take him to get that final points paying position this weekend for Alfa Romeo. I think so. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go on a whim here. I'm going to say it because I've spread the love around a little bit. I've taken a lot of the Alpine guys this weekend for dark horses for good points finishes, but I mean, they're so hit and miss right now. I don't dare take an Aston Martin team at this point. Yeah, and I don't see Albon doing good either. The Williams have just kind of fallen off the planet of Earth right now, and Alpha Prime or AlphaTauri, no, I just don't see it either. So I'm gonna take Bottas to get that last points paying position this weekend. All right, and then when it comes to the Cup Series, the Xfinity 500, the last race of the round of 8, we know that Bell and Larson are locked in. And as I just mentioned with the points, I kind of gave you the preview already of what I think. Reddick, I don't see Reddick having anything to do with this race. I think he's going to be out. Truex Hamlin, I think it's going to be one of the above or none of the above here. So, and then Buescher's in a must win. So, really, like I said, I think Byron's going to make it in on points. So, who's the last position here to make it in? That's my race pick. That's my race pick. I mean, if you're looking around my background, I think you guys already know who I'm taking this weekend. I think it's his year, man. I do. I've doubted him all season long. The beginning of our channel, I mean, we started the season off just bagging him week in, week out. Dump truck master. I think it's his year, man. I think he's going to make Championship 4. Will he win the championship? I don't think so. But does he make the Championship 4? Yep. And he wins this weekend at Martinsville. He does. Ryan Blaney in the 12 car. He's going to do it, man. He's going to do it. Him and Bell are my 2 biggest playoff surprises this season. Absolutely surprised me. Those are my 2 surprises in a good way. And my 2 surprises in a not so good way were Harvick and Busch. I think those 2 really disappointed me. So, I guess in every playoff scenario, you got to have 2 drivers that surprise you and 2 drivers that disappoint you. And this year, that's who it is. Blaney and Bell. They've surprised me this year. I didn't think either of them were going to make it out of the first round. I had them both out in the first round. And they did it. They did it. They're here. One's already locked in and one's 10 points to the good. And I think Blaney wins this weekend. Now, my dark horse. I said I was going to take someone that wasn't in the playoffs as my dark horse, but I can't. I can't do it this weekend. My dark horse here is Chris Buescher. Everybody is sleeping on this guy. He is an absolute afterthought to anybody's predictions to make the playoffs. I don't think he has anything to lose. 43 points out. He's not going to be raced for stages. Like I said a lot with Chandler Smith. He's going to do the absolute opposite of what everybody else decides to do. If the leaders pit, he's staying out. If the leaders stay out, he's going to pit. We know tires don't mean a damn thing at Martinsville. We proved it in the first race. Tires don't mean a damn thing. So if we get a caution here, I don't know, 60, 70 to go, leaders decide to pit, which I think would be the dumbest decision of all time, you're going to see the 17 car stay out. Whether he's running second, third, fourth, I think he'll have a great opportunity to cycle to lead here and maybe be able to hang on for the win. Gotta remember, Chase Briscoe tried this last year. He tried this, and it almost worked out. Bell got him, I think, with like 3 or 4 laps to go. But it almost worked out, and he was on the oldest tires on the field and almost hung on to steal a spot in the championship 4. I think we see something like that here with Buescher. I think we see a Hail Mary. So, does he win the race? I don't think so. I think Blaney's still going to win this race. But, like I said, if we get one of those weird scenarios late in this race, one of those late cautions, and everybody decides to pit, which I think is the dumbest decision of all time, and Buescher decides to stay out. If anybody could turn that thing into an absolute roadblock and hang on for it, I think it's Buescher. So, and I'm thinking it's a dark horse because everybody else out there is sleeping on this guy right now. They do not have any idea that what this guy can do behind the wheel. I think there's nobody that should doubt him anymore, but he's off everybody's radar. So he's on my radar as my dark horse. I'm taking Buescher. Alrighty, so we got Radioactive of the Week and NASCAR Fantasy, and then I've got a few more things I want to talk to before I send you guys out of here on this fine Tuesday evening. NASCAR Fantasy, my 5-driver lineup for this weekend, I am taking Denny Hamlin because he's going to be getting lots of stage points. I don't think he makes the Final 4. I really don't. I think I've already precursored it. We got Bell, Larson, they're already locked in. I think Byron makes some points, and I think Blaney wins the race. So that's my championship 4. Sorry, Hamlin fans, but I'm taking Hamlin this weekend because he's going to get me a lot of stage points. He's going to be up front all race, but he's going to choke it at the end. It's just inevitable. He's not going to have the pace of Blaney. He's going to do something dumb. We saw it last year with Chastain. He should have had it. They choked it. I mean, whatever. It's just that. But he's going to get a lot of points. I mean, you got to take him on your fantasy. Blaney, he's going to win the race. He's going to be up front all day. Take it Buescher. Like I said, he's not going to be stage racing, so he's not going to give me stage points, but he's going to be finishing points. Even if he does have to pull some random weird strategy out at the end of this race, I still think he'll finish top 3, top 5. I mean, Briscoe did last year, and he got past like 5 to go. So he still scored a ton of points. So I think it's a good point pick. I think Truex is also like in the Hamlin situation. I think he's gonna score stage points. He's gonna run up front. I just don't think he's gonna win the race at the end. And then, like I said, Byron, he's gonna point his way in. So how do you point your way in? You go score 14 stage points. And that's what he's gonna do. And then he's gonna finish top 10. So that's a lot of points for me. So those are my lineup right there. And then matchups. These are interesting. We got Buescher and Reddick. I don't think Reddick has anything this weekend. I'm staying as far away from picking Reddick as I possibly can, so I'm taking Buescher. And then when it comes to Blaney and Hamlin, I'm going to take Blaney over Hamlin just because I think he's going to win the race. And then Truex and Byron, I'm going to take Truex over Byron. I think Truex will finish top 3 in this race. I really do. I think it'll be pretty devastating that he misses the playoffs by a few points. Well, I guess he wouldn't at that point because Byron, I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I still think Truex is going to score more points or is going to get a better finish in the end of the race than Byron. And then Larson and Bell. I think they're going to be checked out this weekend. I don't think they're really racing for anything. Larson's still hungry. I don't think there's a race out there in the world that Larson doesn't want to win, even if he doesn't have to or he doesn't care. I mean, I think he just wants to win everything. So I think Larson's a good pick over Bell here. All right, we have no shout out from last week's Radioactive of the Week, but this new quote this week is, get a blank pit stop, need to get my car right, just out here doing it all myself. If you can guess which driver said that in the post after this podcast, you will get a shout out in next week's podcast. So good luck to everybody there. This one should be pretty easy to pick. I've hinted at it a few times already tonight, but good luck to everybody. Hopefully you are the one that gets shouted out in episode 41. Halloween special next weekend or next Tuesday. All right. Before I send you guys off tonight, I just want to say that this is the best community in all of YouTube. I appreciate all of the comments and all of the likes, subscriptions that we've gained over this short amount of time we've been on YouTube. Um, I guess I've said it many times, but I kind of want to get in depth here. Um, I am a huge racing fan. I mean, my whole life I've just loved racing. It's as long as I can remember. Racing has been my passion, and there's been things in my life that I've wanted to do via racing, and things that just don't materialize in ways I want. And I just know that like the racing world doesn't really have a good representation right now. I mean, it's so divided. It really is, in my opinion. There's so many niche groups around racing that think that everything's so superior, and I'm trying to bring everybody together. I'm trying to have one umbrella community where anybody that likes any type of form of racing can come and appreciate other types of racing, because we love it all here at the Dega Boys Broadcasting. Racing is racing. It doesn't matter what it is. We could be racing shopping carts. I don't care if you're a Formula One elitist, NASCAR elitist, sports car elitist, open wheel IndyCar elitist. I don't really care. I hope that I can open your eyes to other brands or other styles of racing that maybe you guys don't really waste. And maybe I think I just went blank. We got to grow as a racing community here. It's very important for the longevity and the growth of motorsports in the world. So, and I don't look at making this content. It takes a lot of work to make this content, right? I mean, what you guys see compared to what I do, I don't really like let you guys in on a lot of the content making stuff. I kind of just make the content and you guys watch it or don't watch it, whatever. But I don't look at it as a lot of work. I look at it as fun. I really enjoy what I do. I really enjoy doing this. I know it doesn't really compile to anything at the moment, but we are growing, and I really, really appreciate everybody's support. We have the best community in YouTube. I don't care if you guys don't like my opinions and you hate on me and leave me this hate comments or whatever. I love it just the same, because at least I'm engaging with you, and you guys are I did something to impact your life in some way, and that's important to me. I appreciate that. You guys impact my life every day. Every time I come on here and I see I've gained 2 subscribers or got a new comment, it means the world to me. You guys don't even know how. I can't even express to you guys how much it means to me. I just know that we could do some great things here on this channel. We could really grow a great community, and we've already grown a huge community, and it's growing all the time. But I feel like we could do some great things here. I know me and Tom are still chasing our dreams of being racing broadcasters, and that's what we want to do. I want to shout out Steven for giving us this opportunity. He's really allowed us to really grow and become better broadcasters. We have a lot to learn and a lot to grow on, but I feel like we've really stepped up our game over the past couple months doing this, and I feel like we are on a trajectory right now for doing amazing things, and I want to bring you guys along with us. I really truly do. This is a great platform, and like I said, I think this is the best community on all of YouTube, the best motorsports community on the internet. Can't find it. Our content as good as this anywhere else. And I just really appreciate it. I know Tom does too. Wish he could be here today to tell you guys that as well, but really appreciate it. I also want to thank Dallas Seward. He's been there from the beginning. He's been on many of our podcast live streams, our watch parties. He's a racer in the NSR League. He is a member of our channel. If you guys want to become a member of our channel, just like Dallas, to get a shout out in every live that we do, go check it out. There's some great tiers for you to choose from, depending on how much you guys are willing to support our channel, or how much you guys are willing to donate to allow us to continue doing this on a weekly and a monthly and a daily basis. If you can't do a whole lot, there's a lower tier you could do. Gives you great perks anyway. If you want to go to the top and max out, all the proceeds go to this channel to allow us to continue making this content, going into equipment, going into time, and just being able to put into this work. So make sure, if you guys want to become a member, go check it out. It's in the link in the description of this video below. Also, go check out our merch store. We got Big Daddy NASCAR hats, shirts, we got coffee mugs, sweatpants, hoodies, jackets. We got Dega Boys hats. I mean, all kinds of cool merch in there. all of that goes back as well to help out our channel. If you want to also help our channel even more, go check out our Patreon. That'll give you access to our Discord. You can come in and chill with us. We'll come and chat with you guys whenever we're in Discord. We're in Discord a lot. We do a lot of our communication through Discord and a lot of our work through Discord. And so we're always in there. So, I mean, if you guys want to subscribe, become a member, gives you access to our Discord. We'll come talk to you guys in person. We'll get right in live chat with you and you can talk to us right now. If you guys want to give us suggestions for podcast topics, you guys want to give us more ideas of what more content you guys would like to see, I mean, come share it with us. We're right there in the Discord. So that would be huge help for us. And then I also want to shout out King of Camo. Big supporter of our channel, partnership program we have with them right now. Go check those guys out. If you guys love gun modifications, gun paint jobs, schemes, they've got this awesome gun. I saw it the other day and I was just blown away. It's a Borderlands gun. It looks all like 3D-ish, multicolor. Looks like it's right out of a Borderlands video game. Coolest paint job I've ever seen. They do great work. I mean, they've got a whole channel full of just great camo and paint job and customizations. Go check them out. Nate and Ryan, awesome dudes, man. Those guys are so cool. We talked to them a few times here on a regular basis, forming this partnership. We got some great things coming down the pipeline between their channel and our channel with some collaborations. Make sure to go check out King of Camo. Those are some awesome guys. And when you do go check them out, tell them that the Dega Boys sent you. And we would very much appreciate that. Share all of your love that you show the Dega Boys. Go show it to the King of Camo. They are a great channel. You can find them in our featured channels page. Go check them out right now. Go give them a subscribe. Leave a comment on their next video. Tell them the Dega Boys sent you. And tell them how much you appreciate them and the content that they make. Because they make some really good content. Amazing content. You guys got to go check out some of the work that they do. It's exceptional. And then also, if you guys want to follow us on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, that link is in the description below. Like I said, Patreon's in the description below. Go follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Tom runs our TikTok. He does a fantastic job there on TikTok. So go follow us there. He's got a lot of cool, funny shorts on there. You guys are going to want to go check out. And then also go buy you some W. I mean, some great stuff. They help us out a ton too. The more partnership we give them helps us out as well. So thanks to them. And just thank you again for tuning into this podcast or watching it afterward or whatever. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys appreciate the races this weekend as much as I'm going to appreciate them. The watch party poll is out now. Go vote on that. Our options were the Xfinity Championship at Phoenix, the Cup Series Championship at Phoenix, and then the season finale for F1 at Abu Dhabi. Those were the monthly ones, as well as an all of the above option. Me and Tom are willing to come and broadcast all three of those races for you guys in the month of November if you guys would love that. I know racing's ending, so you guys want to get your racing fixed before the off season, which we all hate the off season. So we'll be broadcasting all those. So make sure to go vote on that if you guys are interested in which certain races you guys want to watch with us live here on YouTube in the month of November. That poll, I'll probably close it next Tuesday. We'll give you the announcement on what our options are there. But hopefully you guys enjoy the race as much as we are going to this weekend. A lot of stuff's going to be decided. Leave your comment below on who you think is going to win. And with that being said, this has been episode number 40 of the Full Send Half Mast Podcast, the best platform on the internet for motorsports action and content. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Looking for the best music for your videos? Then you should check out Artlist.